faith, family and freedom in Cuba, Belgium, Brazil, Congo, UK and all over the USA to crowds from 14 to 40,000. International leadership speaker, trainer and coach. Author of Learn to Raw Leadership, Attitude Hack, Live a More Excellent Life, 5 Battle Strategies of a Victorious Warrior. 2021 President's Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. Founding partner of the John Maxwell team. Toastmaster International Speech Competition semi-finalist. Founder of Tell It Like It Is TV, ThatGuyRocks.com and ThatGuySpeaks.com. Creator of Story Power TV, Transforming Grace TV, and Leading Leaders Podcast. Producer of 4 TV programs and podcasts for Liftable TV and World Trumpet Television as well as multiple social media channels. Please help me welcome J. Loren Norris.
You know, some of the most mind-challenging, philosophical, theosophical, social or cultural conversations I have had in my entire life were had sitting on the tailgate of a pickup truck in the middle of a farm field watching the cows eat their hay. Right after we put up some barbed wire fence or hunted a deer and gutted it. Some of the most philosophical conversations I've ever had were with people with crusty hands and scars and bruises and, the hard-working type. I believe it was the 2016 presidential debates that a presidential candidate said, what our world needs now is less philosophers and more welders. That's what I want to talk about in this episode of Leading Leaders.
Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom.
I'm J. Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast. I've been listening to Mike Rowe and a couple of his various interviews and episodes about what it means to be a working class American. He makes a really strong and valid point when he says every year from the trades, 5 people retire. Now that means from the plumbers and the electricians and the carpenters and the construction workers that are building your highways and building your schools and building your ivory towers from which you philosophize. He also said, though, that when 5 retire, 2 replace them. That's not hard math. If you eat 5 apples a day and you only buy 2 apples a day, it won't be long before you have no apples. If 5 people are retiring from the trades and only 2 are replacing them, it's not going to be long before we won't have anybody who will clean out the sewers, who will climb the towers and weld the iron at the top of the towers, who will do the work necessary to keep this economic engine that we call America moving. And it's not just America. It's happening all over the world. Now, sure, there are robots who can do some of the work. There are robots that can replace many jobs that are in the marketplace right now. And there are intelligent robots who can replace philosophers as well. But now we begin to run into a place where, as a leader, I'm curious if we have the capacity to continue to lead without doing the work, the dirty work. I was just reading, I've been studying the 16 Undeniable Laws of Communication by John Maxwell. And I was reading a story of one of his mentees many years ago who had only had 18 years of experience in public speaking when John took him under his wing as a direct mentee. And 18 years into his public speaking career, he was invited to speak at an event with John Maxwell by John Maxwell. And at that event, he bombed. Absolutely horribly bombed. He bombed so bad he knew in the middle of his presentation that he bombed. He told the audience, "This is horrible, let me start over." And they gave him the grace to start over. And guess what? He finished off pretty much where he started. Well, the next opportunity came for this same mentee to speak on the stage with John Maxwell. John Maxwell and he discussed it. And he said, I'm really torn about putting you on the stage because If you have another event like the last one, we're going to be in trouble. But I'm also encouraged to put you on the stage because I think that was a one-off. Well, this stage was 12,000 people. That's a pretty big deal. And there's a lot of fame and reputation and money riding on this event. It'll either make you or it'll break you. And so the mentee got some very direct instructions. And that was the whole purpose of this particular chapter in the book, was that you got to learn the law of leverage. That is, to do what you are most gifted at and not try to be somebody else. Mike Rowe talks about how his mom, 60 years of writing before she got her first book deal. 60 years. Do you think she's polished by now? Do you think she's got some practice by now? Do you think maybe she's written something that maybe the world should have seen, but they haven't? It's hard to tell. But we know that she didn't give up. We know that she didn't quit because she's 84 now and publishing her third book, working on her fourth one. 60 years of practice to get good enough. And yet we have young people today. I saw a little reel just yesterday where the guy asked her, so what is a perfect man for you to marry? She said, oh, he's got to be over 6 foot. He said, well, do you rule out obesity? She said, absolutely. If he's not fit, then I'm not interested. He said, well, what about income? She goes, oh, minimum. The least amount I will accept, the minimum, $200K. And he just kind of looked at her. He said, do you have any idea how many men in the world are over 6 foot, or how many men in the world are making more than $200,000 a year? And she said, oh, I'm probably 2% or so. So what makes you a 2% woman? What makes you the kind of girl that the top 2% in the world would be pursuing you? Oh, by the way, for what it's worth, men over 6 feet, 14.5% of the population. The average guy is 5'9". Pretty much me. I'm about as average as it gets. The average income, though, that $200K, that's 0.049%, less than 0.5%. That's a little number. That's a really small number. She's going to have to pick from the best of 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 the best. And I'm not sure that she qualifies to be in the running for the best of the best of the best of the best of the best. But see, we have the same problem when it comes to leadership in asking, do you want to be the philosopher? Do you want to be the articulate thinker? Do you want to be the one who's changing the world through the words that you say and the things that you think and the things that you write down and the books that you produce? Are you willing to wait 60 years, trudging forward, constantly pushing, always trying, before you get your first book deal? Or are you just waiting for somebody to hand you a book deal and hope that your first time on American Idol leads to a record contract? See, these things are not congruent with each other, and yet they seem to be congruent with the philosophy of society today. So many young people feel like they can get away with whatever they want to do. They can act however they want to behave in their younger years, and then there's just going to be a time when everybody else is going to keep them safe, make them wealthy, and take care of their life. And if you believe some of the stories that are out there, if you believe the people that, take their Academy Award, or they take their Emmy, or they take their Oscar, and they look at you and they say, all I did was believe. If you just believe and hold on to your dreams and work hard enough, you too can have one of these. They never ask the question, are you actually talented? They never ask the question, are you willing to put in the hard hours? How many times did they sleep on the floor, sleep on a friend's couch, put up with some of the worst conditions in the world to pull it off? And see, it looks like the philosophers and the actors and the performers, they're the easy path. Those are easy successes. You can make a whole lot of money doing nothing but on OnlyFans or a Facebook Reels or TikTok challenges. And while there's money to be made and there's opportunity there for anybody who's willing to do it, do not underestimate the amount of work that goes into doing that. 18 years on the stage and you can still bomb? There's a whole lot of experience that goes into that. I remember hearing John Maxwell say on multiple occasions that people will approach him after he's finished a talk and they'll say, I want to do what you do. And he will always ask them the same question. Are you willing to do what I've done so that you can do what I do? And if you think about the number of years that John Maxwell has been writing books, standing on front of the stages, working on his PhD, all of the content that he has created has come from a place of effort and work and pain. And sure, it doesn't look like the same work as digging sewage trenches. It doesn't look like the same work as welding sky-high welding. And I'll say that in English in a minute. Give me a minute. The skyscrapers that are being welded high up in the air. It doesn't look like that kind of work. It doesn't look like putting horseshoes on a mad horse or chasing cows across the field to brand them. It doesn't look like working underneath a car to change out the bearings or the transmission. It doesn't look like that kind of work. But I can tell you from my own experience, I've done a lot of manual labor as a firefighter and working on my own cars and working in the fields and trying to build houses. I sucked at it. Trying to build cabinets. I sucked at it. Trying to build roof trusses with a template, laying on the floor. But I didn't stop working at it. I didn't stop trying. I just realized what I wasn't any good at. And instead, I've spent the majority of my life working on the mind work. Can I be more articulate? Can I say words like I just couldn't say with the skyscrapers and the high towers and the high welding? No, that takes practice to screw something up that bad. It takes a lot of time to be that good at messing things up. But if you ask yourself the question, do we need more philosophers or more welders? We need more of all of the above. We need more of all of the above who have a work ethic, who are willing to show up and do the job. The glamorous part of the job, the glorious part of the job, the cashing of the paycheck part of the job, and the nobody's looking and you feel like a fool part of the job. Because there's a whole lot of that in every job. Anything that people are going to pay you to do, there's going to be some blood, sweat, and tears. There's going to be some times that you do it great and everybody applauds you. And there are going to be some times that you do it horribly and everybody laughs at you. And there are going to be some times you do it great and nobody even notices. And if your ego is such that you can't live through those times with no applaud, live through those times where nobody notices and nobody cares, live through those times when it seems like you're grinding away for absolutely nothing, then 18 years toward a speaking career to get in front of a crowd of 12,000 people, or 60 years writing books, writing content, writing journals and articles to finally get a book deal, those are not coming your way. If you can't do the work when nobody's looking, that's called integrity, then how well will you do the work when everybody's looking? If you're not willing to pay the price, perhaps that isn't your prize to take away. I heard Mike Rowe talking about his foundation, and now he has people sign an affidavit that says, in one part, your safety's on you. I mean, we've done everything we can to keep you safe, but ultimately, with all of the safety measures in place, living life can be dangerous. And oftentimes, the people that are signing these affidavits, or the parents of the people signing these affidavits, will go, no, hold on. If you can't promise their safety, I'm not sure this is the right thing for them. And he will say, I can turn the walk sign on and off, but I can't tell you to look both ways even when the walk sign is on, because somebody may run the light. I can't control the bus. I can't control the people who might run the light. I can't control the people who are not paying attention because they're looking at their cell phone. I can give you all the help that I can get, and I can put in all the parameters necessary, but ultimately, you have to take responsibility for your safety, for your well-being, for your success. And if you're not willing to do that, then maybe this big pile of scholarship money we're going to give away isn't your money. Well, those are some hard things to hear. That's a hard truth to acknowledge, that in the end, your failure, your success, your safety, your well-being, well, they're yours. And nobody else is as interested in your well-being as you should be. You can't sue people because you're lazy. You can't sue people because you won't do the work. You can't sue people because success doesn't chase you down. Trust me, success chases no one down. If you want success, you're going to have to go get it. life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, because happiness isn't going to chase you down either. If you want to have success and happiness in your life, get off the couch and go get it. And I don't care if you go get it as a philosopher or as a welder, as a school bus driver or a school bus mechanic, as a school teacher or the janitor at the school. I don't care how you go get it. But sitting on your couch waiting for the check to come, well, that's just silliness. It isn't going to happen that way. It doesn't work like that. The universe doesn't allow you to be passive and successful. They don't go together. Now, which one is a real leader? The welder or the philosopher? And I'm using those because the quote used those as a very general representation. Is it the manual labor crowd or is it the intellectual crowd that is the leader? I would love to sit in a room of 100 people and ask that question and get 100 different answers. Might even get 200 different answers because they can argue with each other. Is the welder a real leader? The welder who's putting two pieces of metal together or perhaps two pieces of aluminum together? Are they skilled at their craft? Are they good at what they do? Have they risen up in the ranks from maybe pipe fittings to art? If so, if they now own the company and they have 25 employees or 250 employees or 2,500 employees, and they've even employed some robots to get the welding done because the amount of welding that they have to get done is so overwhelming, does that make them a leader? Can you have a skilled trade kind of a job and be a leader? Or must you be an intellectual with multiple degrees behind your name before you can be a leader? If you understand the word leader, the way my mentor teaches it, John Maxwell, it's influence, nothing more and nothing less. And I told you as I started this, some of the deepest philosophy, the deepest, most intellectual conversations, the most challenging character conversations I've ever had in my life was while we were feeding the cows. Farmer talk. Talked about seasons and philosophies. Talked about human beings and how like cows we can be. There's an ancient text that says we're all like sheep. Those are not the smartest creatures in the world. They can't defend themselves. They can't protect themselves. They are weak and they are stupid. Ask anybody who's raised sheep. Most of them keep a donkey around to keep the sheep safe. Yeah, they're that dumb. But if you listen to someone who has spent their life around sheep, they can tell you all the ways that humans are just like them. And if you watch mass society, they are just like them. The word sheeples has a really strong connotation to it. It basically says we will all follow each other in the herd because we don't have enough sense to think on our own. We don't have enough sense to protect and defend ourselves. Now ask yourself which one is a better leader? The guy who's taking care of the sheep that can't take care of themselves? Or the philosopher in the ivory tower? Is it the elite, highly intelligent, highly educated, politically involved? Is it the business owner that started in the mailroom or started in the janitor's closet? If you think that your path to success is going to be a straight line, you've been lied to. If you believe that just because you're a nice guy or a nice gal and you're willing to smile for the camera, that you're going to become uber wealthy, you might have been misled. If you think that someone's going to chase you down to hand you happiness or chase you down and hand you success, that you qualify to have the 2% or the 0.049% capability, potential of the world, what have you done to earn it? What have you done to make yourself worthy? You might need a reality check. If you're not sure which one is a real leader, a philosopher or a welder, the elite or the hardworking, the blue-collar worker or the stiff-collared elite, well, maybe you should try both jobs. See which one fits you. There's also a philosophy that says just follow your passion. Do what you're most passionate about, and eventually you'll become successful at it. For a lot of people, that's a recipe for disaster. They will spend 20 years only to find out they're not any good at what they think they want to do. On the other hand, there are those who take on a job because they're capable. Then they realize they're not just capable, they're competent. Then they realize they're not just capable and competent, they're actually in the top of their class. They're some of the best in the world at what they do. That doesn't mean they love the job. It just means they're naturally gifted at it. And if what you really want is vacations and boats and a house on the lake, get really good at something. Who cares if you like it? If it pays the bills and it's honorable work, do that until the next thing comes along. But don't stand idly by waiting for somebody else to chase you down with success or happiness or to qualify you for the 0.049%. That's on you. Nobody is going to take ownership of your life, your success, your happiness, your career goals, your education, and your safety like you. Because nobody else cares about those things to the same degree you do, not even your mama. If you don't believe that, you need a reality check. I'm Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.
Loren is a master teacher on storytelling, and I learned so much. I'm really going to have to sit down and go back through everything, and I think I might have to have some more coffees with Loren, but it was totally worth my time, and I really highly recommend it if you're looking to grow your ministry, grow your business, grow your career. Loren will serve you well.
Thank you.